Looking at George C. Hohmann's social exchange theory, we see that this theory can be put in the form of different propositions. The basic exchange has its own dynamics, and he started with let's say 3 basic concepts. So the whole, let's say, dynamics of social exchange may be portrayed on the basis of 3 basic concepts. And 3 basic concepts are the activities, the interactions, and the sentiments. The 3 concepts are interrelated. So activities are probably the central point from where we move further from activities leads to certain, let's say, interactions with each other. And if we continuously need those activities, perform those activities, then those activities are performed in the presence of others. So when we, not only in the presence of others, rather in interaction with others, so that interaction could also be repeated over time. And that's the repetition of this interaction. If it is rewarding, then it might lead to certain kinds of sentiments. So we see that different components of social systems are linked through mutual interdependence. And this interdependence is the same, let's say, traditional approach of functionalism, where we see that different subsystems, let's say, contribute to the integration of the total system. So more like organic kind of example, where the parts contribute to the whole. We see that if we look at this exchange could be, let's say, formulated in different propositions. So the first of all, individuals are more likely to perform an activity the more valuable they perceive the reward of that activity to be. So they are going to repeat an activity. Repetition of activity might be exerting some, let's say, energy. They may have to spend some energy. It might have some cost. But if the outcome is happy, then pleasurable, then that activity is repeated because it is pleasurable, it is rewarding, it is happy, and this is how they consider that it is valuable. Then from here we see the more often a particular action of a person is rewarded, the more likely the person is to perform that action. The same operant example, if the activity or the action of a person produces the desired results, it's a pleasurable kind of outcome. The outcome is rewarding. The person is happy with that. Then it is expected that that activity is going to be repeated. Repeated because the person thinks that he can get a valuable reward by, let's say, pursuing a certain activity. So that is how he talked about those 3 things: activities, interactions, and then moving on to sentiments. So he tries to perform that action, tries to follow that activity, because following that activity, performing that action is bringing, let's say, happy results, valuable results, pleasurable results, utilitarian results. That is why the person is repeating, and that is how it is applicable on human behavior, human interactions. One could also say that if the interaction with another person is rewarding, then the person is going to repeat that interaction. And that interaction, if it is rewarding and repeated, then it might take a permanent shape or relatively permanent kind of shape, so long as continues to be rewarding, this action or interaction is going to continue. Thirdly, more a situation approximates one in which activity has been rewarded in the past, the more likely a particular activity will be emitted. So we see that what is the experience in the past. In the past, if that activity has borne, let's say, fruitful results, then that activity has to be repeated. That action has to be repeated. That interaction has to be repeated because the interaction has been rewarding, making happy, with happy outcomes. So it was pleasurable. So what has happened in the past, in that actually determines whether it will continue or discontinue. So if a new situation comes and the preceding situation and the previous situations in the past, that interaction has been rewarding, then perhaps the same kind of activity is going to be, let's say, repeated, and that is how the social exchange takes a place and it continues.